Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes' involvement in F1, to be honest, I think the impact may be minimum, but looking at this whole situation, yeah, it's great to see that they're investing in Formula One and all of that. But the big thing is like, how much are they going to do? Are they just going to be investors and this is the last that we hear of it? If that is, you're not going to really have that much of an impact. We saw Patrick Mahomes, the real Patrick Mahomes, at the Miami Grand Prix this year. It wasn't Paulo Banchero, the Orlando's Magic NBA Rookie of the Year there, like it was the previous year. Yep, we saw the actual Patrick Mahomes, the real version, in Miami. I believe it was during the spring. And if Patrick Mahomes is able to make some appearances at Formula One Grand Prix over the off season, I know it's hard to do right now because they're right in the thick of the season. I can't imagine Andy Reid would be really happy with Mahomes and Kelce if they attended the Las Vegas Grand Prix on Saturday night right before their NFL Sunday game the very next day. So it's probably unlikely we'll see them attend Las Vegas. But I think if we see during the NFL offseason, we see them going to these events and stuff. And I know Alex is probably gonna have a lot to say about Taylor Swift in this section. I'm wondering when the Taylor Swift Formula One concert gonna happen. I'm sure that would bring in a lot of people. But anytime you see big names like Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, who are superstars in the NFL and in sports and celebrities, I think it's a good thing. But I think it really depends on how truly involved they're going to be in Formula One, whether or not we're going to see an impact on the American audience.
You mentioned Taylor Swift and Formula One. Of course, she played at COTA. I think it was after qualifying a few years ago at the auditorium there at the track a few years back. So there's already been a Swiftie movement at a Grand Prix in previous, and poor old Martin Brundle, he got that very wrong, didn't he, at Miami? I mean, this is the second dose of all this input into Alpine, because of course we had Ryan Reynolds, didn't we? 6 to 8 weeks back, throw his name into the investment hat at Alpine. The first thing that comes to mind, and we've talked about this a lot on this show, is the cost cap in Formula One, and all these people keep pouring money into it. But when it gets to the top, where's it going to go? I guess we'll soon see how quickly Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly are winning Grand Prix for Alpine. If the money going in has worked, is magic or not? Will Alpine on the road car side, will they, spring up in the States and start selling the A110? We've got the sports car program coming as well next year in WEC. So lots happening at Alpine on track and off it. But yeah, great to see them supporting Formula One, of course. Lamar Jackson at an F1 race, man, that would go crazy. He did pretty well at the weekend in Tottenham to get the win against the Titans. But yeah, I'm not sure what we're going to see, especially at this time of year. Are we going to see any NFL players turning up, unless they played on the Thursday night game before the Las Vegas race, turning up in Vegas in a few weeks' time? But more positive Formula One news, I guess. Off track, lots of knots going on it, as I talked about last week on the show. But all the off track stuff is really good to see.
Yeah, I don't want to see Martin Brundle try and talk to Taylor Swift. I just know that would not go well. And another one, TV is bad enough, cutting at bad at times for Lance Stroll. Don't need Taylor Swift camera appearances. Listen, it might get people to watch and be interested in F1. I mean, it's a positive for NFL right now, viewership-wise and marketing-wise. It might not be a bad idea. Even if it could be annoying, I think it would still be a positive. I think personally it's a positive for NFL. But and you mentioned Kobe also. I think you said it might be a minimal impact. I think if Taylor Swift were to go with Travis, impact, but other than that, probably nothing too crazy. But it's still cool to see, and we've seen other celebrities get involved in motorsports. It's not a new sight. Michael Jordan and Pitbull are both co-owners in the NASCAR Cup Series with 2311 and Trackhouse. You have David Letterman, who's a co-owner in the NTT IndyCar Series with Rahal Letterman Lanigan. And now you have two of the NFL's biggest stars entering the conversation in Formula One. And don't forget, Tom Brady sponsored Jota Sports Porsche prototype at Le Mans earlier this year, and Formula E got Jaden Smith pretty involved during the Portland E-Prix weekend. Now, looking at F1's popularity, there have been some concerns that Max Verstappen and Red Bull's dominance this season could turn off American F1 fans. During the summer, we learned that viewership of F1 races dropped in America. According to Chris Medland of Racer.com, 400 140,000 people attended the race weekend last year at COTA. The track's chairman, Bobby Epstein, told this year's crowd will be smaller, but COTA is focusing on producing a better fan experience overall, such as better food services and entertainment. Link in the video description below for that article. Now, after COTA, we'll see the Las Vegas Grand Prix on the Strip next month. Do you see F1's popularity in America continuing to remain at high levels, or will the bubble finally burst in the immediate future? Matt, let's start with you on this one.
To just back up on a Dale and Life's comment about Taylor going to a Grand Prix, I made the exact joke in a group chat earlier in the week of, it's lights out and away we go in Las Vegas, and before they've even got to turn one, here's a shot of Taylor Swift in the garage. It's going to be that kind of thing, isn't it? Yeah. But we'll wait and see if that actually happens or not. She'll be in the Alpine garage cheering on Pierre and Esteban, I guess. Will the bubble finally burst? Well, the viewing figures are on the slide slightly. The Red Bull domination clearly isn't helping things in that respect. Of course, the Drive to Survive upswell also kind of corresponded with the pandemic, when everyone was sat at home with their televisions and their laptops and devices, and also, of course, that dramatic and brilliant 2021 season that was documented so brilliantly during the show. What will all for the hardcores, obviously we're all going to watch Formula One, but what's the Andretti thing that's bubbling around? Will it happen or not? Will the American fans, or the casual fans, will they get onto the fact that they're not letting this American team come in and turn off? I can't see the free, as good as it is, I can't see the free Grand Prix survive. Let's say we're 5 years down the track, and unless this is still going in this direction, I can't see that we'll have 3 American Grand Prix in 5 or 6 years' time. One of them will fall over. It probably won't be Las Vegas. Probably it'll end up being COTA, I would imagine, but we'll see what happens. We'll just have to wait. It's a wait and see game, but as I said, we've had the swell. Now we're in the eye of the storm, I guess, and we're going to wait and see what we're left with when we come out the other side.
I think the biggest telling moment is going to be what happens with the Andretti Global project, especially among the diehards. And it's like some of the casual motorsports fans who have gotten into the sport through Drive to Survive or any other avenue. They may not be as familiar with the Andretti name as a lot of us diehards are, who are really into all the fine details of motorsports. And if Formula One blocks Andretti Global's bid to go to Formula One as the 11th team, I think that's going to do a significant damage to the overall American Formula One fan base, because as Americans, we want to see an American team on the grid like Andretti. Autosport, I know we currently have Haas F1 on the grid and all of that, but Andretti is a more recognizable name globally. I guess that's why they decided to name it Andretti Global. Mohammed bin Salim, the FA president, seems to be convinced that Andretti is going to be able to eventually get into Formula One without this having to go to court or anything like that. It was very interesting that Salim mentioned, the possibility of going to court there. Hopefully it doesn't go to that level, but Michael Andretti has done everything he can possibly do to satisfy all of these people who keep moving goalposts over and over again to prevent him from getting into the sport. And here he is. He's basically, made it to turn 4 on the final lap, and all he has to do is take the checkered flag, and Andretti Global will get into Formula One in a couple of years. It still remains to be seen whether that will happen or not. But I do think that and the Andretti Global's ability to get into Formula One is going to be a very telling sign of what will happen to America's popularity. To Formula One's popularity here in America. And Dan the Life says, referring to the Chris Medlin piece, said smaller because of Miami and Las Vegas taking away some of the crowd. Yeah, if you go read the Chris Medlin article, they talk a little bit about competition now, having 3 Grand Prix in the United States. Before it was just COTA, and so everyone who's a Formula One fan here in America always flocked to COTA, and then you had COTA in Miami, and then you get to pick and choose. Now you have 3 Grand Prix to choose from, and COTA, they're really going to be focusing, on trying to distinguish themselves from Miami and Las Vegas, so you can get a completely different experience there. I know all of these Formula One races are crazy, crazy expensive. I'd probably need multiple paychecks to try to go to one of those races because of how crazy the ticket prices are for the Las Vegas Strip. So yeah, I really do think that the competition there is something that we're gonna have to watch out for with the crowd size. But like Coda was saying, yeah, we're not focused on crowd size, we're gonna focus on the quality of the services that the fans will be able to experience throughout the race weekend there.